Hello, everyone. My name is Kaylee Bradshaw, and welcome to Short Bay Long Money, an investment series for real estate investors. Today, we have Venny with us. Hello, Venny.
Hello, how are you guys doing?
Venny is a realtor here in Hattiesburg, but he is also a real estate investor, and we're going to pick his brain and see what knowledge we can produce for you today. Thanks for joining in. So, Venny, how long have you been in real estate?
So real estate, I've been in it 10 years now.
Yeah.
Right at a decade. And to think about now being here talking to you about real estate 10 years later, I was very green when I started. Only had like a little background in finance, restaurant, stuff like that, Never even know that real estate was a career, to be honest with you, Got introduced to it, started on it, like I said, very green. Started dealing a lot with foreclosures right at the beginning. They kind of the company I was working with threw me into that. I started learning a lot about that, got involved with a lot of investors. I started doing property management also. Right off the bat, somebody threw me into that one. And started learning into that. So, I did, of course, work with your typical buyers and sellers. But like I said at the beginning, I kind of got exposed to those aspects to it.
For sure.
And then one thing that I would say, for being here 10 years or for being at it for 10 years, it's not about just doing it for one good year. You got to have consistency, perseverance, and it takes a lot. But you learn a lot. I've seen the good, the bad, the ugly. I've learned a lot through mistakes, experiences, effort. But it's great, and I still learning. So it's awesome. It's awesome.
Hi, everybody. This is Kaylee Bradshaw, and you are watching Short Bay Long Money. Do not forget to RSVP for our brunch and build held on February 28th, starting at 10:30 a.m. This event is going to be tailored for investors who are looking to make sure that they are making the most capital out of their real estate investments. So if that is you, RSVP today because spots are filling up quickly. I think last time I checked, we had like 5 left. So I look forward to seeing you. Enjoy the rest of the podcast.
You know how it is.
It's funny how you say, you got to have more than just one good year because I had an amazing year last year. It's my first full year at Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. Shout out to Jackie.
Hey.
Made top 17% with Berkshire Hathaway, top producer. And then the year rolled around and I'm no longer at my cap and I'm like, I got to do it all over again.
Just restart. And
I've got to do it all over again.
I know. And I've been there many, just about all the years, you start from zero, but then that kind of fills you back up.
For sure.
You don't get complacent. You know that, you got to start over from the ground, from the bottom, and you know where you can go. And you want to go higher, and that kind of it fuels you up. You get a motivation to get up every day and do it again. It's awesome. It's satisfying.
So this is kind of like the chicken or the egg situation. So which came first for you, the license or the real estate investments?
Definitely the license, because like I said, I didn't know much about the real estate industry or anything. So definitely the license. It did help that I started, working with investors from the beginning because that kind of started, without me knowing, molding me into getting into the investment, aspect of things. I started managing properties for some clients. I started also, helping people buy rentals, and then they became new clients that I managed property with. Some of them would buy to flip. So I started seeing how they thought, how they operated. I managed their money, so I saw what they were making, and I saw all this going in and out, and then just secretly started just getting in the back of my head. It's like, okay, and it can seem scary to some people that just buy a house, you can just buy apartments, you can just but then it started becoming a little real. Okay, I know what it takes. I got introduced to lenders. They explained me the process. Introduced to other investors locally. People closer to my age, because you don't have to be older to,
very true.
There's so many misconceptions about being an investor, or what an investor is. So then it's little by little, it was chipping away. And then just kind of, I started getting just a little itch towards, going that. So yeah, definitely the licensing. Without it, I would have never thought that it would have been a possibility, you know.
So how long have you been like personally in ownership of investment properties?
18, so 8 years now.
Okay.
8 years. Mm-hmm.
So you started pretty early on into your real estate career. It's like
Yeah.
as far as you being licensed.
Yeah. It took me 2 years. I mean, I'll say like within the first year, you know, kind of like a restaurant. It's still you make it or you make it or you don't. So after that year, I've like, you know, hustling and all that. Then I had a little different focus on real estate. I was like, okay, got it. Kind of just said reset it, and then boom, fresh year, start over again. What's the new goal? And then just kind of started working towards that goal. It's like, okay, one day I would like to own a property. So I started saving up, started, you know, analyzing, studying markets a little bit more carefully and stuff like that. And then when opportunity came, then I jumped at it, you know. So yeah, right. I got in early on it, you know.
So when you are looking at investment properties, like what are the things that you look for in an investment property?
So of course, a lot of people are going to say the numbers, you know, how much money it's going to make me, you know, all that. And of course, I agree. You got to look at the numbers, because if not, then what are we doing it for? You know, well, I mean, there's more reasons to do it, but you know, you're not doing it to lose money for sure.
For sure.
But to me, location is just as equal as it is the money, and of course, they go hand on hand. But to me, it's more than just, oh, it's got to be a good neighborhood. It's got to be a good that. You know, I look at the trends that let's say a neighborhood or that area, you know, has it been if we're talking about rentals, does that area has a good rental history? You know, is it improving? Has it gone down? You know, numbers wise, is there projects that are going to help you in the future? You know, so it's not looking at just like, okay, it's going to cost me this much and then it's going to make me this much. It's more like what is going on around it. You know, how can I make that better? How can all the properties around it make mine worse if I buy a really good one? Or so, you know, location plays to me, it's just as equal, if not just a little bit more. Important,
Yeah.
you know?
Because it's like you can have a well-priced house anywhere that you can probably get at a good rate.
Right.
Renovate it and hope to sell it, but you know, if you don't have people that are moving into that area, if you don't have economy around it that will hold the price that you want to make for that property, or you know, if knowing what school districts are available, I guess maybe knowing like you said, what growth is happening in the area? Are there new businesses coming in? Is there new opportunity? So it's not just like a short term, I guess, view for you, but it is looking at the whole scope.
Yeah. Because I mean, you got to think not only on your perspective, you know, who's going to be buying the house, who's going to be renting the house, you know, how can those be incentive for those people too? Like I said, it's just not just a numbers game. You know, it's real estate is more than just numbers game.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
It's definitely a people business.
Do you have a formula for margins that say, if I'm going to spend X amount on a property, then like I need to make this amount, or like the rental income needs to be this amount per month?
Right.
Do you have a formula that like makes things make sense to you?
No, and I mean, so while I was learning, you know, I did learn there's like the little 1%, you know, percent ROI, you know, return on your investment, a little formula. I'm sure you're probably familiar with it. You know, you buy a property for X amount, you got to rent it for at least 1% of that for it to make sense. You know, that's like the bare minimum. So I learned that when I preached it, but I'm always, you know, I look for more than just the 1% because, you know, better, the more the better. So I started off that way, but no, I don't really follow that formula because I mean, through all the scenarios I've been in, there's more than, again, just a piece of paper and the numbers and what it's like, because you're going to run into, or you got to think about, I mean, I can buy it for this much and it can make that much, but in the process of, does it need renovations? How long is it going to take? Let's say it's a rental, does it have tenants in it? How long is the lease? How long is that rent it's going to take for that amount? You know, are the taxes going to go up? I look more about scenarios more than just a formula. I mean, just, and that's again with all the experience and all the stuff that I've been through, to where you just pick out all these little factors, you know, that go into it. Also, you know, the potential that it could go to, how much is it going to be worth if I renovate it, if I can get equity out of it, or if I was to sell it. And so it's many factors. There's not necessarily a formula. It's more of a at this point now. I'm not gonna say I'm a seasoned, but it's more experience. It's kind of what guides me, more like instinct, So, but there are formulas out there that work, though. I mean, the 1% one for sure. I mean, it's out there, and I'm sure there's some better ones that people kind of look into, but it's everybody feels it a little different.
Yeah. Are there any incentives that you are taking advantage of, or that you have taken advantage of as a person who either owns multiple properties, or like using monies or grants for renovations? Are there any incentives that you take advantage of?
No, I have not. I mean, I've gotten, I guess, if you want to call, I mean, I guess you could call it an incentive. The relationships that you find along the way, whether it's with lenders, contractors, and those are very key factors. Unless you're somebody that can do it all yourself, then great, that's awesome. But no, the building the relationships through it, in many different aspects. Like I said, you got lenders, you got contractors. You have, your tenants that can become, for us, clients that can become clients, referrals, the neighbor right down the street, I mean, there's many, those are the incentives that I take. But no, I mean, as far as what the question you asked, like financially grants and all that, I have not. If somebody knows about any out there that I can use, I love them, But no, I've been taking just a real kind of normal approach to things. When it's come to it,
Yeah. And a really cool thing, shameless plug here. Again, we are having our brunch and build on February 28th. It's an investors brunch for people who either actively own real estate investment properties or are looking to get into real estate investment properties. And one of the things that we're going to talk about there are incentives of owning properties from people like Mississippi Power, Bank First. We'll also have some financial consultants come in from Florida to make sure that you are like really putting your money in the right place, to make sure that you are filing your taxes properly, and all these different things to make sure that you, as the owner of these properties, are making the most out of your financial investments. So make sure, if you have not already, RSVP today. Okay, thanks.
and I'm going to be there for it because I definitely want to learn about those. But yes, actually, one thing when it comes to owning property, the tax benefits. There are a lot of tax benefits, which I'm not going to go into because that can be a whole podcast in itself. And it'll be another guest in here. Now it won't be me, but there is a lot of benefits that come with tax deductions and stuff like tax benefits. So yeah, that, I guess that is one that I have taken advantage of, or it comes with.
Or it may be Venny Part 2. Tax incentives. Who knows? Who knows? So what do you consider most ideal for real estate investment? Buying and flipping, or renting properties out and being a landlord?
Okay. So the way I look at that is two different monsters. It's like, do you like PlayStation or Xbox better? There's not a wrong answer. It's kind of like one is for one. For some people, one works, and for other ones, it's different. Depends on the mentality. Depends on the kind of risk you want to take. If we're talking about rentals, that's a long-term game. Less money coming in, but it's more stable, and it's like I said, the long-term game, you're thinking about equity, you're thinking about, building something, that's going to last, as to where, flipping, it's going to be more of a chunk of change, right away, but it has more risk, different timelines, it's different. I personally have not done a flip yet. Yet. Don't really have the desire to do one. I've been just focused on nothing but long-term rentals, trying to build my little portfolio to kind of, to get there. And I'm not saying I won't. I just don't have the desire to. But I have held many clients, that do the flips and all of that. And yes, there's benefits on both sides. It just depends how you want to attack it,
So when you do own rental properties, do you already have Like, do you expect the worst out of a tenant?
Uh, uh, I'm not surprised anymore.
Okay.
Because I haven't seen it all, and I'm sure I'll see more later. But I don't expect the worst. I'm sorry, I take it back. I prepare for the best, prepare for the worst, but still expect the best.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Little Wayne quoted that. So I've seen it to where
Young money, baby.
I've seen it to where I am more prepared. I'm better prepared
Yeah.
now for my clients and then for myself also. I've had just so many times that I trusted tenants, and it's not that they cannot be trusted, but you got to place the trust at the right time in the right places.
Yeah.
You know, so this is a business at the end of the day. So I do have the human part of me to where, you know, yes, of course you got to be human to others, be sympathetic, but I'm not surprised if, you know, what they say to my face is not what they're gonna do.
For sure.
Or, you know, circumstances also happens, you know, in life. So then I always do prepare for scenarios like that. You know, you can buy a brand new water heater and then it busts the next day, and that's just how life happens sometimes. You know, in this cases, then yeah, I'm not surprised, but I'm always careful. And then with tenants, even more so nowadays. But no, there's a lot of good ones out there though. You can't. No, there's the mess of, like, you know, the landlord's the bad guy coming to take your money, and then, you know, the tenant's the ones that's going to destroy the house. Nah, it's not like that. It doesn't have to be like that either.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Good communication, it's a key factor in anything.
It goes a long way.
Yeah,
it goes a long way.
For sure.
How do you, I guess, maybe prepare a cushion for repairs upon move out, or what does that look like for you? Is that kind of built into security deposits, or?
Well, you can't always trust the security deposit because the damage can be more, or even if you don't see that damage being so much, and then you give the deposit, some of the deposit or the deposit back to the tenant, and then as you're, you know, painting a little spot here and there, then you find all this stuff. So no, you can't really prepare for that. Or I wouldn't say the security deposit should be your secure funds. You know, in that long-term gain, you're going to be earning, you know, you should always be making a profit every month.
For sure.
So then those profits, it's not like the one that, I mean, I like to live a good balanced life. You know, it's not like I'm just going to sit here and not do anything with profit, but I do like to save some of it on the side just for emergencies.
For sure.
Because like I said, you like to have a whole year with not one repair and then a great tenant that renews and all of that. Yeah, you know, that's great. But no, realistically, you always got to have some kind of emergency money, some emergency funds, you know, just to, again, not to be surprised.
What are the, I guess, maybe top 3 repairs or like maintenance expenses that you routinely see on or like your rental properties?
AC units, number one.
Especially here.
Yeah, especially here. And change that filter. Got to change that filter. That's always going to be the one. So AC units, number one. Plumbing issues, especially during the cold.
Yeah.
You know, and the thing too is that a lot of plumbing issues, the tenants, sometimes they don't see it. You know, if there's a leak going under the house or there's a leak going under the sink, you know, they may not see it, and then that just kind of becomes something that is going to be more expensive over time. So that's something you can't really blame somebody for necessarily, but it's going to be this big expense there. And then a third one, miscellaneous. I'm just gonna, you know, surprise factor. I'm gonna let the surprise
Something
factor.
will happen.
Right. Yeah, that one car that drove through. Yeah, you never know. The fire in the kitchen. You know.
Very true.
So yeah, the miscellaneous ones, the fun stuff.
So with like that approach to real estate, do you feel like the average, or at least in like your experience, do rental consumers value like the aesthetic of the house more or affordability?
So in my experience, the way that I approach it is, you know, would I live in this house? And if you set up certain standards and have the properties, you know, in certain condition, not just aesthetically, but then, secure wise, you want to make sure that everything works. Just don't have a little, even small things, kind of like a little wobbly fan. It's like, oh, well, it works, but it makes a noise. I've had tenants where they they complain about that, and I was like, that's just it's really just turn the fan off, like to put it, it won't wobble if you don't have it on, but then when you made those fixes and you even change that, going back to that scenario, change that one ceiling fan for $100 ceiling fan, they're gonna appreciate it. They're gonna they're gonna pay that rent because they know you're gonna take care of them. If they have another issue, they will. So I feel like the tenants will not they'll be happier the better that the house is, the more that you address and work with them towards that. I feel like I've learned that as I get properties, I try to get them as small top shape as I want to in the beginning. There's always going to be something here and there that comes about, but if you do that from the get-go, they will not complain about the rent, and if something does come about, they'll be happy to keep paying because those are getting the issues are getting addressed. So yeah, I mean, a good property brings a good tenant.
For sure. So now you told me that you started real estate investment after, I guess, your second year being licensed. Yeah. At what point in that journey did you realize that real estate is a solid investment?
I don't know if there's like a specific day that I can remember, like a specific moment or a specific experience I did it. I think, like I said, just like it was molding me. My experiences were molding me little by little. Seeing how they could do it, I didn't think I could, and then seeing that other people that kind of showed me that I could. It was just little pieces by pieces, but it was not. I mean, like when I made the decision, it was not overnight. Okay, I woke up today and I want to own properties. I just like, it'd be cool. And then, I had to save money. Well, let me save money. Man, there's a house that'd be fun. That'd be a good house to rent. Oh, it went away. Not meant for me. So it's not a luck game. I mean, some things can fall in your lap sometimes, and then you can call that luck. But if something falls in your lap and you're not ready, then what's luck for? Because you do have to kind of prepare to be able to invest in it. So I wouldn't say there was a specific time when I knew, but if I would have to say, I would say that when I bought my first property, after I started going through the process of it and it became real, that's when I guess the little itch came about. Okay, I can do this and get another one. Like after I got that one, I started going through it, renting it out, and then start seeing not the money coming in, but seeing everything full circle. And I was like, I can do this again. I want to do this again. Then I started setting goals. I want 5, then I want some, and then So I think that was the light bulb moment when it was real, when I knew I could. Yeah.
What's your ultimate goal, or what's your end game with real estate as far as like investment? What does that look like for you?
So somebody told me before, because I had a number set, and then they told me, oh yeah, when you get to that number, you're gonna go onto another one, and onto another one, and onto another one, and it's true. It's not that it's an addiction, but I had a goal, a number set in mind, like I want a certain amount of properties, and then with that, the retire early and just kind of sit back and enjoy life and all that, which I do want to do that as early as possible. But I don't have a number set anymore as far as how many properties I want to get. I think that's kind of now open-ended. But I'm not going to be more than I can chew. You know? I know, like, I've been there before to where I managed way too many properties than I could, that I could handle, and then that just kind of took me away, so there's no balance. I know my tipping point. I don't know I can't answer like what that number is yet. Yeah. But I know that once I start seeing the end of the balance, then that's when I'll feel comfortable saying, okay, that's enough.
Now, are you originally from the U.S.?
No. Born and raised in Venezuela. Mm-hmm. So, Venny Vera from Venezuela. Came here when I was...
That's his rapper name.
Right. Underground only. But I came here when I was 13. landed in Greene County, Mississippi, of all places. If you don't know about it, it's fun. Not many people
Pass
do.
through it, maybe.
Yeah. You blinked. But then went to Meridian Community College. Went there on a soccer scholarship, and then came to Southern to finish out my degrees. And been in Hattiesburg ever since. Hattiesburg's a weird place that just brings people from random places, like really good random people.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I love. And then a lot of times people stay, which is great. I'm still here. And then the ones that leave, they always want to come back, or they always miss it, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know, Hattiesburg's got this weird energy to it that I like. And that's why I'm still here, and I kind of got my little nestle here of like properties, and I'm never gonna leave. I'm gonna leave hopefully one day, but not like my roots are gonna stay here. For a very, very long time.
I know I have friends all the time that try and get me to move back to the coast or wherever, and it's just Hattiesburg has such a strange attachment to my heart. It really, really does, and I think it's because it's a city that's filled with so much potential.
It really is,
and there's so much character and history in this city already, and I think there are people that just fall in love with it and want to contribute to that growth.
And even the people that are here for a little bit of time, it just it stays in their heart. But then also the ones like me, I've been here for 15 years now, I think. And I've been seeing the growth of it, and I see where it's going. I've seen where it's been. I've seen the mistakes that we made. I've seen the improvements we made. And then it's fun. Hattiesburg is fun. I thought about moving to the coast one time. I was like, the coast life is going to be awesome over there. And then I was like, but Hattiesburg, I can visit the coast, but Hattiesburg, just,
it's home. It's just enough city to not be anything crazy. Now, with you being an immigrant, what do you feel, or do you feel like owning property and being an investor, what do you feel the importance of that is as an immigrant?
I feel like, especially me being first generation, then it's kind of like the pillar, or the foundation for what's to come. If you think about, go back in history, back in the 20s, 30s and all that, all the set of immigrants that came in here, they kind of built the foundation for, the second, third, fourth generation. And then you have all this, history. It's like, well, he owned, my grandpa, my grandma, they started with this, and then look where we are now. So I feel like that's what kind of I'm building up here, something for my future, for not my future, but my future generations, to hopefully something they can be proud of, something that can help them, because when me, my mom, and my brother came here, that was a big struggle, and then we came from the bottom, and then just been building up. So some kind of proudness, whatever, to it. But then, it'll be good to know that, later on they don't have to struggle as much, and just enjoy a little bit more. For sure.
It is. I do feel like real estate is one of the few things that really allows you to leave a legacy and prepare with wealth building for the next generation, especially if you're taking advantage of things like trust, or knowing how do you gift a house to someone without it costing them money, or how to properly inherit property, producing rental income for future generations. There's so many doors that owning real estate opens for you. And, like you said, even with you being an immigrant, a first generation immigrant, really establishing, physical grounds for your family in a way. I think that's awesome, especially in a world where, we're surrounded by stuff that's cheaply made and made very easily. But dirt is the one thing that you don't get any more of.
And it's always going to be, if you think about it, any other sort of investment that's out there, it can, I'm not going to pick on Bitcoin people, but, Bitcoin, for example, it can be gone like this, and then it's poof, nowhere else to be found. Real estate is always going to be there. It's been here since 0 years, and it's going to be there forever. People are always going to need somewhere to live, So, real estate is always going to be there. And I learned, and, I never knew that. Like I said, I got into this with zero knowledge of it, and then that's kind of one of those things that I learned along the way that, people are always going to need somewhere to live. So it's a good investment to to know that, this is it's needed.
Yeah.
It's not gonna, it's not gonna go anywhere.
For sure. For sure. Now, what has been your favorite investment property?
Okay, so favorite one, and this one I hold real close to me. It's just 2 duplexes that I bought. Just right there next to each other. They had been neglected for a while. One of them was even just a shell, but got them in there, saw the opportunity, got them for real cheap. They were barely making any money, but I went in, and that's when I started putting a lot of my knowledge into, it's the first time that I actually had to put all my little knowledge into place. So I went into the rent, bought them for cheap, got a good loan, negotiated a good price. Then I started doing the renovation part of it. Start seeing some of we just paint that over and change that one more, boom, something else came about. And so, I got to put a lot of work into that, and had to, I went over budget on some things and had to get creative and all of that. So it was a journey. It was the whole journey into it. And then poof, came out on the other end, and, just kind of did the full makeover and all that. And then now they're like very successful duplexes. But not only that, what that also taught me the first time I got to see it up front was there was 2 tenants in there that have been living in those their little rooms for like 10 years. And when I had to like renovate one and move them, then it was like, wow, thank you. Like you got to see, like they were thankful. So I mean, I was proud of that. Like made me feel really good about it. And that's kind of like a little bit of a turning point too. That I mean, the money is part of it. It comes with it, but then it's also some kind of satisfaction in a personal level. Seeing them living in really not the greatest of the conditions, and then of course rent went up and everything, but they were happy with it because they have now a nice, clean, renovated place. So that kind of was a full circle. So that's my favorite one because of the first kind of experiences that came about it. And that kind of turned my head into what I wanted to do next, and all the other ones kind of fed from that one. So, no.
I've had that conversation with an investor before where he kind of had this idea that like if he flipped a property, like it had to be like this standard. Everything needed to be soft close. Everything has to be luxurious. And it's, it's good to have that brand if that's the brand that you want to have. It's good, for people who are in that bracket. But as a realtor, it's difficult to find homes for first-time home buyers sometimes, especially, either what are you going to sacrifice, affordability or the quality of the home?
Right.
So, when you have an investor who can, it may not be luxurious,
right,
but it's livable, it's clean, everything is in working condition. It's something that you can be proud of. It's comfortable and it's affordable. You are giving someone the same opportunity that you want to create for your family, right? Allowing them to have a space that they call their own, no matter if it's like for a purchase or for a rental. You are giving them roots that they can now like have a stable life and proceed to the next phase of their life. So.
Yeah, and I mean, and I've been there too. So I mean, it's not like I don't want to make myself sound mighty. I'm the best landlord. No, I'm not. I know I'm not. But then I've been there before, and I know. Like I told you earlier, would I live in this place, And if I won't, I mean, I go to work every day and then I bust it just to come home to a place that I hate. And then I still got to get this guy money to a place that I hate when I'm doing over there and can barely afford. No, it shouldn't be like that. And so like I put myself on, people's shoes. And I mean, what are we doing it for? Just to make money out of somebody else? No, I mean, I want to go to sleep tonight,
That is very true.
And to be able to do that, then I want to make sure that they're taken care of. Some other people, they don't do it that way, and I don't know how they sleep at night.
There are a lot of scum lords. There are a lot of scum lords.
Yeah, I've experienced a few, but it's more to it than just that, So yeah.
So what would you say has been your most lucrative investment property?
I wouldn't say lucrative. In a different sense, I guess. This one would be lucrative for me. And that one is this house I bought about a year or so ago. Had been abandoned for years. Saw it come in the market, and I was like, I want it. I like it. Saw the potential on it. And when I got in it, then I started discovering, okay, it needed everything. It needed new plumbing, it needed new electrical, a new AC unit. I had to redo the floors, paint the whole thing. Countertops not there, had to put in there. Bathroom had to be redone. I mean, the whole 9 yards, pretty much kind of a shell.
Yeah.
And then as I was, start working the plumbing, there's more surprises came about.
Every time.
Everything came about it. There was 2 dead trees next to it, and then when I bought it, not even 2-3 weeks later, the storm came out, and then I saw a bunch of limbs falling, so I had to get the 2 trees cut out because big pine trees, and then right next to the house, I was like, of course, what else you got? Throw it at me,
Don't ask, you'll find out.
Right? I stopped. Like I said, I don't get surprised anymore. I'm just like, of course, yeah, 2 dead trees, yeah, of course, that's fine. But what was, I guess, look at it for me on that one was that I got it for a good price. Mm-hmm. I had people lined up that were doing the work for me in a timely manner. I was able to do all these things, and in timely. Had the people there for it. Like when the whole tree situation, 2 days later, had somebody go out there and cut it, so I didn't have to stress about it. Everything was so stress free because everything that I have gained throughout the years, the relationships, the know-how to the expectation that I set for myself. So it was lucrative for me to be able to just do it all without, losing sleep, stressing, or getting mad or say, what was I thinking and all that. So that was lucrative on my end. And then at the end of it, I doubled the value of the house. I rented it for top dollar. So, it all worked out, and the tenants are happy in there and all that too. So yeah, it all worked out. So that's that one. Yeah.
It's really one of those things where it's like proper preparation prevents poor performance.
Yeah. I like that.
And I guess like you said, once you've gone through it and you have kind of like learned what the expectation is, what could go wrong, making sure that you have a financial cushion prepared for those things that do come up.
Yeah.
There's a lot of opportunity there. Is there any advice or anything that you would say to someone who is looking to, get their first rental property, be it, or let's say a rental specifically,
right.
what advice would you give them?
Well, first, of course, everybody's got to do their homework, but there's so many things involved in real estate that, it's easy for us to talk about it because we know the ins and outs. We see all the pieces of the puzzle as to where somebody's going to get started. They're just going to see a scramble and having to figure out how to put it together.
For sure.
So one thing that I was saying, and it's not just advertising us realtors, but find somebody that you trust. Find a good realtor, somebody that you trust. Because if you find the right person, they're not there just to make money off of you. They want to see you prosper. But finding somebody that can guide you through it, and
I was going to say on that's also building a relationship, because chances are, just like you won't stop at just one rental property.
Right.
So, having that relationship with somebody that if you are going to go back into the market for another property, like they have serviced you in a way that says, I want to go back to this person.
Right. But yeah, that's key, having the right guidance, so then hopefully, finding a good realtor. But then outside of that is, doing your homework, ask questions, go sit down with a lender, let them talk to you. That's their job, to explain to you how the financing part of it works, see if you talk to other investors, go to little classes. I mean, now we have information available everywhere, but all these people make it sound so easy. It's like, you can buy a house with no money in 30 days and all that. Maybe there's options for that there, but it's not that easy.
Yeah.
If so, then everybody will be investing into property. Do your own homework, but I mean, it's still a people business. So then finding the right people, and trusting in the right people, which is hard. It's hard to find, but we're out there. right there. We're right here.
We're literally right here. It's very much a situation where it's like your network determines your net worth, right?
Yeah.
Just like you said, having these people in place that, if something is wrong with the roof, somebody that, that you've worked with that you can call. If you need tree removal, if you need renovations done. So like really building a group of people that you trust, that you have this, also referral network that's a built-in referral network
for sure
of services and of rental agreements essentially,
and within that you're helping the local vendors, you're helping the community within itself, and then also they do a good job for you, then you're going to refer them out to other people, so you're helping families in different ways that they can ultimately help each other and then be within the circle. So yeah, it's there's a lot of moving pieces to it.
Very much so. And like that is one thing that you probably don't really see unless you are a realtor, is the amount of people that we help employ. Honestly, there's so much money and there's so many moving parts in a real estate transaction. And it's like each job that, as a property owner, when you're bringing in a contractor, when you're bringing in an inspector, when you're bringing in an appraiser, roofing, whatever, like you are helping provide income back into this community. That's really awesome. I don't know that I've ever necessarily just looked at it that way. But it really is. So real estate investor, landlord, realtor, with all of that, how do you want to be remembered?
Well, I heard this saying was like, I don't want to be remembered at all because that means I'm gone. But if I want to be remembered, I'll say just as a good colleague of the industry, know. And by that meaning that, a lot of people think that, and let's put this in the perspective of me as an investor. If I want to be remembered as an investor, then I don't want to be just another investor, because a lot of people think that investors are somebody that's out there for themselves. They're just trying to get their money and, do the whole gimmick thing, which is not. Investors, we're all within our own little community. So, if I am able to help, if you're another investor down the street from me, then by me making the community better, it's going to make your property better. It's going to make, if I help, educate the tenants or have good, happy tenants, it's going to make, just improving the community as a whole. So a good colleague of the industry by just making the community better, one property at a time, one tenant at a time, helping out your buyers, educate them, guide your sellers. So, just want to be able to put my little grain of salt into the, or grain of sand, I guess. Grain of sand into the little, thing. So, yeah.
Or salt. Who's to say? We can't tell you what to put in your container.
Right. So, yeah, just somebody else that helped make it better. And because I know Hattiesburg is getting better, it's going to get better. So then be able to, put my part into it.
Yeah.
So
I think that's we all want to leave our mark on something. Venny.
And then also as a very good realtor.
As a very good realtor.
Right. Yeah.
Venny, I want to thank you so much for being here with us today. Thank you for sharing all of this insight for this podcast and for all of the viewers out there. Again, do not forget to register for the Brunch and Build investor seminar. It again will be on February 28th at 10:30 a.m. We've got an amazing group of panelists. We got some sponsors. We got some amazing food prepared. So we'd love to see you there. Come eat, come laugh, come learn. My name is Kaylee Bradshaw, and this has been Short Bay Long Money.